سلام عليك على رافديك عراق القيم، فأنت مزار وحب ودار لكل. أصلي لأجلك في كل حين وأمسح عنك هموم السنين. لماذا أراك حبيبي حزين ويعصر قلبك هذا الألم؟
Last Tuesday, on the 1st of October 2019, thousands of Iraqi citizens took to the streets of Baghdad in Tahrir Square to protest against the corrupt leaders that had been ruling Iraq for 16 years. What were the protesters demanding? Basic human rights, employment, clean water, a stable infrastructure. See, the unemployment rate for the youth has risen above 30%. It has been a normal thing that 5,000 people compete for one teaching job. The electricity in Iraq lasted 2 to 3 hours during August, a month in which the temperature can reach up to 50 degrees of Celsius, and the people have to survive without any air conditioning and without any electricity. The corruption in Iraq has reached a point where Iraq is ranked the 12th most corrupt country in the world by Transparency International. All the statistics for education, healthcare, and all parts of the public sectors have gone down since 2003. The government is not only actively not providing jobs, they are actively taking away jobs. In the story of Wissam, a father whose only income was to sell plastic cups from a van in Al-Qut. He had to support 3 children. The police took away his van. He burned himself alive. You're not providing the youth with jobs. And so the youth take the route of militias that are controlled by Iran. And see, Iraq on the outside is considered a democracy, a fake democracy, but a democracy nonetheless. We have elections every 4 years. Corrupted elections, but elections nonetheless. So what did this democratic government do to these protesters? What was their response? To these peaceful protesters, mind you. Because let's make one thing clear. This is a peaceful movement. This is the People's Movement for Basic Human Rights. This is an anti-corruption movement. It is not a religious movement. It is not a fanatic movement. So what was the government's response? Order security forces to fire at the peaceful protesters. It's been less than a week. Minimum 109 people killed. 6,100 people injured. 500 people arrested. A lot of these casualties are the same young people that just 2 years ago volunteered to fight against ISIS. So what was the media's response to this injustice? The media that should hold the politicians and the government accountable for their action. The media that should be by the people's side. They began with ignoring the protest. When the protesters' voices became too loud to ignore, they tried to paint the protesters as violent. And finally, when all those tactics failed, they tried to paint the protests as clueless without any clear goals. The goals are people are demanding basic human rights. And see, the politicians have gotten away with corruption for these 16 years with the help of media and with the help of religion. Because every corrupt politician is backed up by a religious leader. If you criticize the politician, you are criticizing the religious leader, and thus you are criticizing the religion, and that is the taboo. That is the protective layer of the politicians. It's been reported by public officials that up to $450 billion have been stolen and disappeared from the government. So our question is, where did this money go? In your pockets. Another question is, when is it enough? How much stealing do you have to do in order to feel like it's enough? How many more lives? Give us a number. How many more lives do we have to sacrifice in order for you to fulfill your greed and to fill your pockets? See, all we're asking for is accountability. Accountability for all this senseless killing and all this senseless loss of life caused by these politicians. All we're asking for is justice, and for these politicians to be prosecuted by the law. And we cannot do this alone. We need the rest of the world. And there has been absolute silence by all other governments. We need the UN to step up. We need the rest of the world to take a stand. And finally, the security forces. Please put down your weapons. You're killing your brothers and sisters. The same brothers that fought by your side just 2 years ago against ISIS. These are your countrymen. Let's not let these criminal politicians divide us against each other.
من ساحة التحرير الله الله علم بيدي مو قنابل علم بيدي مو قنابل والله ما جيتك اقاتل الله ما جيتك اقاتل انا اخوك وترمي ليش ظهرت خاطر اعيش انا اخوك وترمي ليش ظهرت خاطر اعيش الله خافوا الله بهالتعامل الله بهالتعامل انا اخوك وترمي